You're going to have to come together as a movement and say, here's what we want done about it. Because you can get lip service from as many white people as you can pack into Yankee Stadium and a million more like it. We're going to say, oh, we get it, we're going to be nicer, okay? That's not enough.
Well, that's Hillary Clinton meeting with activists from the Black Lives Matter movement. Now, she's unscripted there, and she's certainly taken a different tack than you would have seen at Bernie Sanders when a couple of events have already been shut down in effect by these folks. And for a lot of folks who've covered and have been supportive of Hillary Clinton, that's the Hillary that they want to see. They also saw that side of her when she testified before Benghazi, before Congress regarding Benghazi. Remember this?
With all due respect, the fact is we had 4 dead Americans. Was it because of a protest, or was it because of guys out for a walk one night who decided they'd go kill some Americans? What difference at this point does it make?
But instead of getting that Hillary or the one that you saw before, or some that have said, even critics, that she could be the smartest kid in the room, we often see a far more defensive and really stilted Hillary, especially when talking about the email server controversy.
Did you wipe the server?
What, like with a cloth or something?
I don't know. Well, you know how it works digitally. Did you try to wipe the whole server?
I don't know how it works digitally at all. I do not have any.
You did not try.
Ed, I know you want to make a point, and I can just repeat what I have said.
It's a simple
in order to be as cooperative as possible, we have turned over the server.
Okay, Michael. Obviously, there's a real story there. We can, and people can debate about how far the story goes or doesn't. But no matter what, we can all agree she has not handled the email controversy well. It's funny, and for guys that have, or anyone who's covered or dealt with her one-on-one, compared to so many elected officials, she's a pleasure to be around. Unscripted, funny, she gets it. I always find the best sense, I don't know about you guys, is the staffs. If they keep turning them over every 3 or 6 months, it tells you something about the person. People walk through fire for her that have worked for her and have been there before she even became senator. To that point, that person never comes across on TV. What does she have to do, if you even agree with the premise, that the more unscripted Hillary's the better Hillary than the ones who's got the rope line out and everything else is trying to keep everybody 3 feet?
So 2 points. One of them in her defense, and the other one I'm going to be a bit nasty. You'll like this.
Glad Michael's in the hot seat.
The first one is, and as an attorney, I have to insist, when we're talking about the server issue, or even now with Benghazi, the talking points are not prepared by political people or press people. They're prepared by lawyers. If she says one thing now and then contradicts herself a little later,
but hasn't
that's
already,
a big
Michael,
issue.
I get your point, but hasn't the story already changed?
It has. That's all part of a rhythm. It's all part of a script. There's a cadence to it. There are lawyers involved. And that's one thing. But when she was having that conversation with the Black Lives Matter movement folks, or when she was talking as Secretary of State about what was happening with those dead Americans overseas, that was genuine. That was real. And this is where I'm going to be a little nasty. That was other people's skin and other people's lives on the line, not hers, right? So it's not her career, and it's not her legal culpability or liability where she has to be very, very careful. She's being genuine. She's talking about other people's problems and society's problems, things that politicians are eager and well-equipped and enthusiastic when they discuss. You know, fielding a question the 5th time on the same issue involving email service, she's just going to repeat what the lawyers gave her. So I don't know that it's a fair comparison, but it's one that has to be made because it's all out there.
I think, Dominic, not every politician's gotten the memo that the public wants something a little bit different than maybe they did before. The last, certainly 2 or 3 election cycles ago. They want more authenticity. Even if it's BS, they want to feel that you're hearing them, you're speaking, and you're not going off the cue.
Well, can you blame them? Can you blame the public?
I don't.
After dealing with all these phonies for years?
But my point is, a lot of politicians, even ones that are ahead that you think are playing 4 corners offense, trying to run out the clock, they're doing it at their own peril, because I really think they don't realize how angry the public is and what the public wants. At least, they might agree with you, but they want you to shoot straight with them. I think, in a bizarre way, that's part of Trump's appeal. To that end...
That is his appeal.
So to that end, does she have to change how she's campaigning?
She's a victim of her own success to the degree of her husband. Bill Clinton is Mr. Soundbite himself. he can feel your pain in any situation, even when it's his fault or his policy that have you feeling down and out. Hillary, you're right. When you're in a room with her alone, she can work the room like her husband, but it doesn't
And you believe her
transfer,
more.
and
Yeah.
you believe her more. But I have to say about the Black Lives Matter thing, I asked you guys in the break, I don't know if I believe it's fully sincere. Because when you're the former Secretary of, when I say that, meaning when you're the former Secretary of State, you're not getting near her because the Secret Service is there. So how did those three individuals get placed in that position? And let me just say this
I'll
other
be devil's
thing.
advocate, John.
Okay.
If they don't let him near her, that becomes a story in itself.
Richard, when even when she's out at a parade, that's why it's not fair when she faces the criticism.
I'm going to add one level of complexity.
But I just want to say one thing, and then you can add whatever you want. The problem that I have with the Black Lives Matter situation, less than 48 hours ago, in Ferguson, Missouri, a black girl, 10 years old, in her home with her mother, 10 years old, in the 4th grade, a stray bullet came in the house and killed the girl. So what are you really focusing on? What is the real issue here?
I get it. I don't want to go on the tangent about Black Lives Matter. I happen to agree with you 100%.
10-year-old girl.
There is a gender role here, and we have to view this through the lens of perhaps there's the gender inequity, because when men do it, they're being careful, but when women do it, they're being artificial and plastic. So there is
Good
that.
point.
There is
Good
that
point.
point.
Yeah,
I
but,
think we need to be
I
careful
think the
about
bottom line is she's just not that talented of a politician. She doesn't have what her husband has. She's stiff. She comes off that way, and people respond to that. You know, even her kind of snarky responses about the email, that when she made the joke about Snapchat, they fell so flat. She's not great on the stump. She's not a great speaker. When you hear her give speeches, you can feel that how tense it is. So I think that's part of her problem. But then even when initially, before the email issue really blew up, she came out of the gate, I think, in a very inauthentic way, trying to play up the income inequality, play up the dead broke, I'm one of you, and it fell so flat that now it's like she's trying to recover and she doesn't even know who she is as a candidate in this race.
Real quick.
Well, first of all, venue matters. In a press conference with a bunch of reporters there, you can't really be authentic in the same way that you can be when you're yelling at Congress or when you're having a conversation with the Black Lives Matter group, because the gang mentality, and Dominic knows as well as anybody, will tear you down if you do that.
But they don't do that with Donald Trump. It doesn't work with Trump.
Well, that's because he's not talking about anything and he's just moving around. The other thing is slow down on the authenticity. As it pains me to say that, but how many, to your mind, authentic candidates have really won elections going around? I can think of a handful, a tiny handful. You think that the public wants authenticity, and I think they do. But you're going to wind up with two people who are on talking points,
You have to
winding
start
up in the general election.
premise of who you are. Michael knows that any candidate you work with, you can't make them something dramatically different.
Yeah, but everybody's playing not to lose. They're not playing to win.
Jessica, you're going to like this. When we come back here, we got Democrats bailing on the president when it comes to the Iranian nuclear deal. The question is this all calculated? They know where the votes are. Just enough will peel off to save their own hides here, or does the president have a bigger problem on his hands? We'll talk about that after this.